Willkommen in der Kolonie, Baby!
And welcome back, everybody. So, I was gone for 2 weeks, I was sick with the flu and I'm still recovering. And I thought, hey, now that you're feeling a little bit better, let's take a look at the Gothic Archive once again. Last time we took a look at the loading screens. I mean, everything up until the loading screens. And today we are moving to another segment, which is the sequel art. Let's take a look now. Yeah, so I was talking about the Gothic sequel in the Gothic Iceberg. It is a damn interesting concept, which happened before they decided to do Gothic 2 proper. And as you can see, there's many things here that you are kind of familiar with. You can see the hero standing here in the Demon Hunter armor, which eventually evolved into the Dragon Hunter armor. You can see some Seekers, but they played a different role in the Gothic sequel. Here's a little demon flying away. Here's Xardus looming in the background. Rohbar's daughter, who arrived with the king in the Valley of Mines. And Thora. Well, Thora, I think her proportions are a little bit off. She's a heavy front loader, if you know what I'm talking about. I think she's missing some juicy hips here. I think her silhouette looks kind of silly, but hey, it is what it is. Down here we have one of those sick people that I was talking about in the iceberg. There's some kind of sickness spreading among the people in the Valley of Mines, and it most likely had something to do with the influence of the demons. So there's that. The demons didn't just affect the wildlife, like the scavengers who turned into demonic scavengers that we actually got to know as grassland scavengers. So they reused some assets for Gothic 2 and Night of the Raven. Yeah, and so this was meant to be like, I don't know, the box art or whatever. Yeah. It's a little bit unfinished. You can see like the sea is piercing the Seeker's shoulder, but yeah. So here's another iteration. Looks a little bit different. I think I prefer the first one. Also, the sword is kind of interesting, but I think it's over the top. Too over the top. For my taste, at least. But yeah. Let's move on. So, what do we have here? Thora, look at that. Swinging a sword. Swing it right away. And more Thora. Yeah, so she was meant to fight with a quarterstaff, and we know staffs from Gothic 2, obviously, but as far as I know, combat with a staff was supposed to be a little bit different with new animations in the Gothic sequel, but yeah, we never got that. Another little fun fact about Thora, and I think you can see it in the leaked demo that you can play, and not really leaked, but it's a modification that is in the works from the Gothic sequel Entertainment, I think, and in that you can see that they had fully animated hair. Well, that sounds a little bit over the top, but yeah, Thora, when she was walking, the hair was kind of animated, which was pretty cool. And also, as you can see, no fists. The character models had open hands. And for whatever reason, they didn't use that in Gothic 2, which is kind of strange. So, Thora once more, with a very skimpy outfit. I'm not a big fan of that. But yeah, it was the zeitgeist, I think. But yeah, so here's the hero with his very iconic sequel armor that we can also see in the Gothic 2 intro, another remnant from the sequel assets. But he's kind of looking a little bit off, right? Like his face? I don't know what it is. I cannot pinpoint it, but yeah. And here we have the king, Rohbar. Yeah, his armor is obviously like the model from the Ore Barons, but way more rich in ornamentation. Looks kind of cool to see something like that in the Zenjin. But yeah, the man was supposed to come into the Valley of Mines, and this is indeed his model, and here is his daughter. And I have to say, his daughter looks very nice on these pictures. I played this demo of the Gothic Sequel Entertainment, and Rohbar's daughter looks a little bit off in there. I don't know what it is. She looks very aggressive. Well, yeah. Let's move on. Nice though. A nice dress, nice sandals. Very beautiful. Like her tiara, also very decent. And a big plus from me because she's not wearing these skimpy clothes. So let's move on. Here we have the Paladins. Look at that. So I wanna take a closer look at that. So we saw a similar type of armor in Gothic 1, the Royal Guards, I think. They have this yellowish coloration on their breast, and the Paladin armor is like a, well, evolution, a heavy type of armor. And you have a helmet, you have these big ass shoulder pads, which in my opinion look horrible. Usually I'm a big fan of big shoulder pads, but this little extension here looks just silly, and it's not very practical. But all in all, I do like this type of armor. To be honest, like, Gothic has this very similar style among their armor pieces, or at least most of them, where you have this weird, I call it a collar, but it's basically like a big collar with shoulder pads integrated, and it gives you chest protection to a certain degree. So I like this kind of style. It's kind of a signature armor from the Gothic games, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah, I like it. I like the base version. This one, not that much. And I'm very glad that they changed the Paladin armor in Gothic 2. I like the full plate harness. The full plate looks just way better on Paladins. But I could see something like that being reused in a way for the Royal Guard, you know. I mean, there should be a difference between Paladins and the Royal Guard, definitely. And, you know, having something like that with ornaments and a little bit yellowish golden in appearance, and you have this kind of regal feel to it. I think it's pretty fitting, but yeah, again, with a few changes. Also, helmet, Landros, greetings. I don't know about that one. Could be a little bit simpler, but yeah. Let's move on. Ah, here we go. The Demon Hunter armor, yeah. Pretty dope looking. I do like the helmet. Landros, have you heard that? I do like the helmet. The visor is different in Gothic 2, obviously, but when you take a look at the back, basically this view from the back, it's very similar, at least the head, to the Gothic 2 Dragon Hunter armor. What is different? You don't have these skulls, obviously. It's roughly kind of going into the same direction with the silhouette when we compare them to the Dragon Hunter armor. But yeah, there is still some differences here. I kind of like it, but there is a different kind of version. I think it's the light version. This is supposed to be the heavy Demon Hunter armor, but I'm not sure about that. We will get to the other one in the next pictures. So here we have the Seekers, basically unchanged from Gothic 2. Again, they played a different role, and I'm not really sure if these are facts that I'm spitting right now, but the Seekers in Gothic 2 are remnants of the Brotherhood. So the Novices and the Templars and the bales. For example, they went mad, and then they turned into these seeker figures to hunt down the hero and other important characters who could help the hero on his journey. Bennett, for example, got thrown into the jail because a seeker paid money to... Who was it? The man who accused Bennett of killing somebody? Yeah, a seeker was behind all of this. And we also learned in one of the icebergs that Dexter originally was thought to be rescued by such a seeker, but that got scrapped, this idea, in favor for him being a servant of Raven. So the next one, this is one of the healers. I scroll down a little bit so we can see them both. So obviously these are the healers who tend to the sick people in the old camp in the sequel. And I think this version, if I would like to download that and I take a look at the file name, it's called Medicus. I also talked about that in the iceberg. It's looking pretty cool. It reminds me a lot of... there is some historical garment, and I think it is related to the Christian church, but I cannot pinpoint what it exactly is. I think maybe something like Spanish Inquisition, but I'm not sure about that. I like it. The head looks a little bit funny, but yeah, these guys seem to be the leaders of the healers, but again, this is speculation on my part. So here we got the helping hands of those healers, basically being just wearing the red cross, as you can see, on their arm and on their chest. And these are the sick people that they're tending to. It looks pretty horrifying. And here we have the Demon Hunter armor, and I don't know if this is the light version or the heavy version. I do really, really like this armor, really. And I have to say, even though when it comes to Gothic 1 and 2 and in general, I'm not a big fan of helmets, I think this one, even though it looks very unique, is very fitting for this armor. What I also very much like is that they have these weird ropes tied around their chest. I don't know if this is to keep the chest piece in place, or it's just, you know, to have a rope for situations, you know, when you're dangling on a cliff or something like that. It looks pretty awesome. You got this red waistband or whatever it is, and some type of scale armor. And it looks really rough when you take a look at the surcoat here. Looks pretty rough, like taken from an animal and just slapped onto a piece of armor. You can see that the whole leg area is made out of some leathery material. Looks also dope. And then you have the boots, which are, to be honest, not very impressive. But yeah, let's move on. This piece of armor, I've seen that in modifications. Just some type of beggar's armor. I think you can find it in... Don't let me lie, I think it's returning New Balance. You can find it in the harbor district of Corinus in a warehouse. Doesn't really have stats on it, but yeah. But it looks kind of cool, you know? Like some bum hanging out somewhere in the slums of Corinus, or, well, when we're talking about the sequel, somewhere in the Outer Ring, while the old camp is pretty much in shambles. Here is a character that I don't have a clue about. Looks like an Amazon. She's wearing like the same type of armor that Thora is wearing. Very skimpy outfit. Again, I don't really like that. And why do the breasts have to be so gigantic, man? This is crazy. But I have to say, I kind of like the idea of having some Amazon-type figures in the game, but yeah, the origin is a mystery to me. Okay, low poly. Let's take a look at that. Oh yeah, another creature that was planned for the Gothic sequel is the Gobbo, the Goblin Skeleton. That was basically a demonic skeleton or a demonic goblin, whatever, but then it got reused for Gothic 2, just a goblin skeleton, but another remnant from the Gothic sequel. And here we have the Grassland Scavenger, but it's actually a demonic scavenger from the sequel. They may have altered the appearance just a tiny bit, but I'm not very sure about that. But yeah, it looks actually horrible. Not the model itself looks horrible, but their appearance look horrible. Like if you compare that to a regular scavenger, they're pretty tame in appearance, but these boys are spiky as hell. Look at that. Jesus Christ. Let's move on. Ooh, okay. A demon dog or a demon wolf. So this is what the demonic corruption is doing to you under the barrier. Well, not really under the barrier anymore, because the barrier is gone in the Gothic sequel. But yeah, as you can see, the influence, the demonic corruption changes the appearance, and you become mangled, and bones are showing, and creatures look all rabid and stuff, and I do like it, actually. I do like it. A little bit more on the gory side of things. I think Gothic 2 went into a very tame direction with the creatures that you can find. I don't know, man. I hope they return to something like that. Let's take a look at the next one. Oh yeah, look at that. A undead shadow beast, which is also a thing of Gothic 2 and Night of the Raven. The burning version, you can find that in Jarkandar. This creature, this undead shadow beast, you can find in Valley of Mines at the Stonehenge, definitely. There's one other place where you can find it, but I'm not sure about that. And again, it's completely it's completely rough. There's almost no fur left. You can see the muscles and the bones, and it looks very, very horrific. Oh boy, yeah, I like it. And another big boy, yeah. The Black Troll was actually a troll corrupted by the demonic influence. That's what it basically is. I was never really a fan of the Black Troll, even in Gothic 2 back in the day. I think it looked kind of silly because of those weird back spikes and the horns. Listen, they don't really look like horns. They look more like antennas, like ants have, you know. It's kind of silly in my opinion, but yeah, it is what it is. Oh, Dragon Snapper, yeah. Also a thing, an early idea from the sequel taken into Gothic 2. I really do like the model, and oh boy, when you see a Dragon Snapper in Gothic 2, you better run. You better run. They are a very, very hard enemy, even in the later chapters. Look at that. Especially that bastard that is hanging out at the waterfalls on the plateau on Bengar's farm. Jesus Christ. You can get that quest like right from the start, and you're supposed to kill that. Like, how do you do that? I always find myself in a weird situation where I use an ice block or something and summon skeletons or something. Yeah, it's really, really weird. And the next one. Oh, the big boy. Look at that. So, this is a demonic lizard. This is a model that is not reused in Gothic 2. And I can say that its head looks a little bloated and weird. But I think this is this is interesting as well, to be honest. It looks all bloated and swollen, like it's been lying rotting in the mud for days on end. But I really think that this would have been a nice addition to the games, actually. Damn. Looks actually crazy. And also with the bones protruding and the skin all torn up. Man, I really dig those things, most of them at least. So that is it with the sequel art. Let's take a look at the next one. Oh, the sleeper mask, yeah. Look at that. Oh boy. Somebody scribbled. I think this is straight from Mike Hoga, actually. Yeah, this is like the earliest prototype of the sleeper mask. But as you can see, like these weird horns at the side, they are indeed quite a characteristic that carries over into the final design. But the mouthpiece changes quite a lot. The eyes change quite a lot. Okay, here we're going into the right direction. This almost looks like the final version with the third eye. Looks pretty cool. Even with this weird edge over here, that is part of the final sleeper mask. But yeah, the next one is very interesting. Look at that. Man. With this grainy effect, it has this VHS type quality to it, and it looks really horrifying in my opinion. Jesus Christ, yeah. But again, you can see that it's more getting into line with what the finalized version actually is. Okay. This one is very different. Oh boy. Look at that. Look at that. Jesus Christ. It almost has this oriental feel to it, in my opinion. Like if you take a look at the ornaments and the horns, they have this weird shape. I don't know how to explain that. It's just a feeling that you get looking at that. But I'm glad that they decided for the version that we eventually got. It's a cool design, don't get me wrong, but I like the finalized version more. So, ooh, okay. With a creature underneath. Okay. I don't like the rusty colors. Looks kind of wooden. I don't know. But an interesting take, nonetheless. And look at that. Here we are moving closer and closer to the final version. Look at that. Interesting. I think the sleeper mask is a really, really solid design. Really good. Look at that. Looks beautiful. Oh, and that's basically it. Okay. Who do we have here? Tom Tia. Ah, okay. These type of drawings. Okay. Yeah, interesting. This is supposed to be a mine crawler, I think. At first glance, I was like, that kind of looks like a snapper, but a snapper doesn't have any limbs in front of his body. And then I saw the mandibles, but then I was like, oh, the eyes and the mouth are very different. But yeah, this is a mine crawler, an early version of a mine crawler. And here we have Milton, the man, casting a fire blast. Interesting. Look at that. So the shape of the fire mage armor, the normal one, is kind of finalized. You've got the iconography on the belt, the flame sigils, and the pretty heavy stole around the neck, this reddish thing here, very iconic. While you have this weird-ass collar that we were talking about earlier, being iconic for the fighters, in a sense, you know, taking a look at their armor, it's pretty iconic for them. This stole is pretty iconic for the fire mages. Oh, here's the man. Look at that. Oh, boy. Jesus Christ, look at that. Look at that. So, Alchemia, please take notes, just a few. Look at that, biceps. Jesus Christ. This man is swole. What I also like about, like this is so typical. It's like, if we take a look at those pictures in general, I get a very, very early 80s comic vibe, like Conan the Barbarian or something like that. And you have these 70s, 80s haircuts which are completely out of style today. Obviously you gotta change that, but what I really dig is that fucking mustache. Look at that. And again, you can see this is it's kind of a mix up of the light mercenary armor and the medium mercenary armor, but not quite there. And here we have a goblin being cut in half, and goblins having shields, okay? And they have this very scaly skin and this weird scimitar or falchion. Crazy. Yeah, but Gorn looking very sweaty and in the heat of battle. Look at his eyes, man. He's enjoying that too much. Jesus. Oh, you know, I like this one more with the coloration. Oh, here we are. Oh boy. The babes. Look at that. What a massive axe that is. Jesus Christ. Double-bladed axes are such a fantasy thing. I mean, they were probably used on the battlefield somewhere, you know, but I think a one-bladed axe makes just so much more sense. Just the additional weight of two blades and one blade on each side, it's just... How do you fight with that? But, you know, it has a certain look. And again, please notice this massive mountain of a bicep. Just crazy. Yeah, the babes. Obviously. And here we can see the Dungeons and Dragons archetypes. Look at that. I need to take a sip. Wow, man. Oh, Jesus Christ, look at that. Like, you can definitely see that it's a psionic from the Brotherhood, but it's like a very early version, and he's got that weird Greek sandals on, you know? If you think of old-ass ancient Greece, you've got... That comes to mind, and it almost looks like... I don't even know, like Egyptian as well. This coloration of the garment, of the robe, it is weird. But you can see that the basics are already there in these paintings. But yeah, I like that he's touching his head, like, bro, I'm gonna control you. You're jumping off of that cliff. Real good. And then there is Diego in this picture looks so seductive. It's crazy. He is straight out of an 80s porno. Straight up! Really interesting. Ooh, look at that. This is not Diego, this is Danny Trejo. Definitely. Look at his face. That's a carbon copy. Definitely. Jesus Christ, like that. Yeah, this is obviously a troll, as you can see. And you can see that the coloration of his armor is more like black, blue, dark blue. And this was meant to be because the shadows, it's in the name, you know. There are like shadows, there are moving, unseen, they're in the background, there's spies, there are thieves and all that. So it makes sense that they don't wear like some bright coloration. It's more suitable for them to wear something more decent that you can blend in with in the night. So it was planned for the shadows to have this kind of coloration. But then they were like, yeah, but we need to have some corporate identity, and because the shadows are part of the old camp, they need to have the red as well, the typical red that you can see with the guards as well. Once more, Gorn with the babes. Yeah. It also reminds me a little bit of what is it? The cartoon Heavy Metal? It's also there was also a movie about that, right? And a South Park episode. Jesus Christ. That was a good episode. Okay, just pencil. Also looking great. Man, imagine having that on your wall. Crazy. Gorn again. With his balls protection, you know. Maximum protection for Los Cojones. Perfect. And that's it. Okay. Yeah, I think we talked quite a lot about those things today. And I think this episode should come to a close now. So we still have a way to go. Look at that. What is still coming? It's big. It's massive. Look at that. Look at the sidebar here. Jesus Christ. And all the interviews. Again, the site is so freaking good. Thank you to all the people involved. And also thanks for watching. I hope you had a blast like me looking through all of this super cool stuff from the very early days. And with that said, I say thank you, and I see you next time. And yes, the Gothic iceberg is still in the making. So, I see you guys. Goodbye.